Helena Kennedy, she is a member of the United Nations team investigating Jamal Khashoggi's murder. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm curious just to know, first of all, what your feelings are on the state of your investigation today. Your work was thorough. Agnes Callamard has been particularly scornful in her assessment of Saudi's role in this killing, yet still there's been no accountability except for some arrests within the kingdom whom your investigators have not been allowed to speak to.
We tried to have access to the kingdom, and we were given really no response. So we haven't been in any way accommodated by the prince or those who are administering the kingdom. One of our great concerns was this was a brutal and blood-curdling murder. And I have, in recent months, met with Mr. Khashoggi's fiancée, and she, she is still suffering the consequences and the trauma of these events. And it's when you meet someone who is so closely connected with this that it just is not satisfactory that we do not make every effort to secure justice for Jamal Khashoggi, his family, and the woman he was going to marry. This is a disgrace, and it really is an affront to the rule of law internationally. That the international community has been so passive and has not been more demanding of the Saudi kingdom. Okay,
then, by your definition, what would justice mean in this case?
Well, it's fair to say that that obviously one wants to see those who've been responsible put on trial and held to account. Now, a number of people have been put on trial in the kingdom. But only 11 of the number of people who were involved, and we know the numbers were much greater than 11. We also have not opened this trial to a public watch. I mean, it is really important that the international community sees whether justice is indeed being done. It's very clear that very senior people inside the kingdom knew of this and planned it. We heard telephone calls before the actual killing, in which it was the inquiries are made from the consulate to Riyadh, to senior intelligence personnel, to find out whether Khashoggi is on the list, and to see whether he's someone who is deemed an enemy of the state, really. And then arrangements are made for an operative to go out from the consulate to Riyadh to be describing the details of the internal workings, we assume, of the actual consulate so that the plans can be made. And then this huge team come in of highly skilled intelligence agents who are a SWAT team. And they come in and they perform this killing, this dismemberment with a medical person with them. And then the body disappears. There's an ache in the heart of people when they don't get the body of the person who is dead. There remains a sort of fantasy of whether the person might still be alive.
Right.
And that is terrible to continue to basically punish people for the rest of their lives where they don't know what happened to the body.
Okay, I mean, you talk about senior people within the Saudi kingdom, but no one will say the Crown Prince by name. So let me ask you this. Does it mean anything to you when he says he takes responsibility for this murder, for this crime, as if he's kind of the CEO of a company whose employees have behaved badly?
It's wholly unsatisfactory. We know that the way that the kingdom works is that nothing of this kind of significance would take place without the authorization of persons at the highest level. I find that very, very hard to believe. I think that there ought to be a commission of inquiry, a much more substantial body than the rapporteur put together a team. I was privileged to be part of it, although it was a shocking part of my experience as a professional lawyer. But she did a very courageous thing in taking this investigation forward on behalf of the Turkish government. But it has to be bigger than this. There has to be a commission of inquiry headed up by a set of judges from around the world. And they have to have access to the kingdom as well, and to people at the highest level. And I find at the moment that it's hard to be persuaded that this particular operation was not sanctioned at the highest level. And I believe that, therefore, the prince himself is not being totally frank about how this whole line of command worked. And what's happened, where does Mr. Katani, the right-hand man of the prince, fit into all of this? We know that he bears responsibility. Is he on trial? Will he, his hands, I think, are not clean in any of this.
Helena Kennedy, thank you so much for joining us there. We greatly appreciate it.